So just getting yourself settled. So let's place your hands by your body. Your legs can be nice and long, or you can have your feet on the floor, knees to the ceiling if you want to take some pressure off the lower back. And we're going to do some interval breathing today, just to steady and slow the breath down. So we're going to breathe in for 3, take a little pause and breathe out for 4. So breathing in, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, hold. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Last time, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And then just settle the breath. And now we're going to just bring our arms up above our head. So let's breathe in and take the hands above the head. Bring the hands above us and allow the hands the shoulders to open. We're just going to allow the hands just to open out a little bit. So you're just allowing the arms to fall to the floor, open through the shoulders. And then floating the arms back down beside your body. And then this time we're going to lift the hips. So plant the fingers and hands into the mat, so palms facing down. Bring your knees up to the ceiling if they're not there already, feet flat on the floor. And then slowly we're going to start to tuck the pelvis under and lift the hips off the mat. So we'll just take a little bridge pose, nothing too dynamic. So if it doesn't go so high, that's absolutely fine. And then we're going to roll down through the spine. This time we're going to inhale, lift the hands up to this above your head. And then as you exhale, you're going to roll the hips off into bridge and lower the hands down beside the body. So we're going to do the 2 movements together, bringing the hands back down and lifting the hips. And then we're going to, as we roll down through the spine, the arms are going to float up above the head. So we're just combining the 2 actions. And then breathing out, lifting the hips up, the arms float down by the body onto the floor, and we're lifting the hips up. And then we start to roll down through the spine and then bring the hands above the head. Last time, exhale, breathing out, and this time we're going to go for the full bridge pose if we can. So that means taking your hands underneath you, clasping them and interlacing the fingers, and if you want to, walking onto your shoulders. That's too dynamic for you for this morning, just to stay with the shoulders on the floor. So I've shuffled onto my shoulders while my hands are drawing down on the floor towards my heels. And then come back down. So shuffle onto your shoulders again, release the hands and start to roll down through the spine. Bring both knees in towards the chest and we'll just give those knees a little hug. So I'm just going to rock side to side. And then add some circles. So we're going to circle the knees one way and just easing the hips out. And then circle the knees the other way. And then give them a little hug again. Lovely. Plant both feet back onto the mat and we're going to take one hip at a time. So draw the right knee in towards the chest and then start to circle the knee outwards. So we're easing out the right hip. Nice and slow and steady, just giving it a little roll. And then when you've done that 3 times or so, come inwards and reversing the direction. And then Bring your knee back into your chest. This time lift the foot up to the ceiling. Keep the leg bent, but take the hands behind the back of the leg to support the leg. You're going to flex the foot and draw the toes towards you, but whilst my leg is bent. And then I'm going to stretch the foot and point the foot. Really nice stretch through the front of the foot. Let's do that twice more. So flex and point. Flex, nice and slow and steady, and point. Now circle, flex the foot and circle the foot at the ankle. Nice and slow. Sometimes we do this quite quickly, but for today, let's just be a little bit more mindful about the actions that we're doing. And then let's reverse that, so circling the other way. And then we're going to straighten the leg. So flex the foot, lengthen and stretch the leg. It might have to lower, so the heel has to have a little lower. It's the first stretch of the day, but we're just going to have a little go for stretching out the back of the leg, the calf, behind the knee, and the hamstring. And then bend the leg and bring it in towards your chest. Lengthen the left leg away and flex the left foot, so the foot is on the floor. And then we'll take a supine twist. So left hand onto right knee, the right hand comes into a T position, and we'll just draw the knee over. You might need to have a little shuffle and shuffling over so that you can have a little, getting onto your hip, and take your gaze towards your right hand. A little twist. And then using the breath, just allow that knee to fall down. And you can use the left hand to draw it down a little bit as well. So if you want a little extra twist. And then using your belly, draw that right hip back into the mat, roll over onto your back and bring both knees back up to the ceiling, feet flat on the floor. So let's do the left side. So we're going to hug that left knee in towards the chest, little hug. We're going to circle the knee outwards from the hip. And then circle the knee inwards. Then bring the knee in towards the chest to give it a little hug. And then float the foot up to the ceiling. Keeping the leg bent, take the hands behind the back of the leg for a little bit of support. Flex the foot and just have a little stretch of the ankle. And then we're going to point the foot and stretch through the front of the foot. Let's point and flex 2 more times. So flex and point, flex and point. And then flex the foot and circle the foot at the ankle one way. Nice and slow and steady, just noticing your range of motion that you have in your ankle. And then start to circle it the other way. I'm not rushing it today. And then flex the foot once more. Lengthen the leg, so we stretch and straighten the leg. Might need to lower a little bit for this morning. It's just a little start to stretch. Feel that back of the leg. And then bring the knee in towards you, hugging it in. Lengthen the right leg away. Flex the right foot and keep the leg onto the floor. Take the right hand onto the left knee, left arm into a T position, and then shuffling over, drawing yourself left knee over towards the right side of the mat. And we might need a little shuffle. Maybe there's a sigh and a little bigger out of breath, just allowing that knee to fall down. And then bring the left hip back down and then shuffle on your back. We're going to switch our core on. So bring your hands beside you, feet flat on the feet off the floor. So knees, shins and feet off the floor. I'm going to bring my hands into a T position, or if you haven't got any room, a cactus position, so elbow square. And you're going to start to draw the belly button down towards the mat. So I'm thinking about decreasing the space where my back is, the lower back has got a natural curve. So I'm drawing my belly button towards the spine, towards the floor. And then we're going to float the knees over to the right and left twice. So take the knees over. They don't fall onto the floor. All they're doing is floating over to the right. When they just get there, we use our belly button and draw it back into the mat, and the left hip comes back down onto the floor. We're going to do that again over to the other side. So allowing the legs to float, knees to float. They just hover towards the ground before using your belly button and drawing the right hip back into the mat. And then again, we're going to do right and left. So bring the knees over and then back and knees over. And last one, bringing them back. Let's plant the feet onto the mat. We're going to roll over onto our side and then come up to an all fours position. So let's switch around. We will be on our knees, so if you need to, fold the mat over and give your knee a little bit of protection. So let's start by our cow cats as normal. So we're going to do a little bit more core switching on. So spread the fingers wide. You want to rotate the elbows out. So you can rotate the elbows inwards and the shoulders outwards. So just rotate those elbows so you've got a nicer, wider shoulder base. The knees are underneath you and we'll come into 3 cow cats. So we're going to inhale, we tip the pelvis forward, we arch the back, take the gaze up. And then as we exhale, start to tuck that pelvis under and reaching through the shoulders, the gaze goes to the thighs. Again, nice and slow and steady, really noticing the range of motion of the pelvis and the hips, arching the back, taking the gaze upwards. And then start to tuck the pelvis under and feeling a nice strong stretch through the shoulders. And again, you're rotating those shoulders outwards. Last time, inhale. And open and exhale and look at the thighs and then come back into an all fours position. Lovely. Tuck the toes under at the back and we're going to come in for a preparation for downward dog. So again, switching on our big muscles, warming them up. We're going to just hover our knees 2 inches, an inch off the floor. So we breathe in and as we breathe out, just take the knees off the floor, take the weight into the hands and we're just going to hover for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower the knees down. Good. Untuck the toes. Bring the hips towards the heels and we'll come into child's pose. We'd like to be extended child's pose if that's all right. So start to walk the hands forward, reaching forward. If you need to open the arms to get a little bit wider for this morning, you can do. And my forehead is trying to reach towards the floor. It might not get there. And we're going to take some nice big deep breaths here, focusing on the fold of the hips as you're breathing out. Focus on relaxing the shoulders. Now walk the hands over to the right side of the mat. We'll get a little lean and a twist here. So bring the hands off, just off the mat. We're going to breathe in and open the left side of the body. So really focus on breathing into the left side. Feel a stretch through that side. And then as you breathe out, settle and relax. We're going to do that once more. Breathing in and out. Then walk the hands through the center and we'll go over onto the other side. Little stretch over here, good. Take the hands over, breathing into the left side of the body. We're going to breathe in. Feel that right side of the body stretch and out. And in. And out. And then bring the hands forward. We're going to slide our way onto our bellies. So bring the hands in front of you and then just gently bring yourself down towards the mat, sliding yourself onto your belly. So let's bring our forearms underneath us. So both forearms are going to come in front of us. So we've got there, and we're going to focus on our legs with locust. So we're going to warm the back of the body up by coming into locust pose. Just the legs are going to lift off the floor. So it's a modified locust pose. So we're going to inhale. As you do so, lengthen the legs away from you. You're drawing your hips towards the floor and the feet lift off the mat. And we're just going to have a little hover. So you'll feel the back of the body, the glutes, the backs of the legs, all the legs working really hard, but try not to take any tension in the upper back. And then lower the legs down. Give the hips a little shake out, side to side rocking. And then we're going to come into the arms. So I want us to cactus the arms, so bend the elbows 90 degrees. The face is forward. We're going to keep the legs off the floor, on the floor. And then we're just going to see if we can lift the back up with our arms in a cactus position. So you still have to engage the legs, but we breathe in. Then using the upper back, just lift both arms off the floor and find a modified locust pose. And then lower down. Good. Again, just release everything by rocking the hips side to side. And then we'll do the full pose with our arms long in front of us. So if you can, lengthen the arms, good. And lengthen the legs. The legs are slightly wider. We're going to breathe in and lifting both the arms and the legs off the floor, drawing our hips on towards us. And our gaze and head is down. So we're looking down just to take any pressure off the neck. And then lower down. We're going to come into child's pose again. So take the hands towards the chest. We lower down. And then let's come into child's pose for a little rest of that back. And what might be quite nice is bringing your hands beside your shins at this point, rounding the spine, drawing the forehead. If that's too much, you can also take your fists underneath your forehead. That's a nice gentle one as well. So we're just allowing that spine to rest and curve the other way. So finding a counter pose to all of those quite strong back bends. And then bringing yourself into all fours. Welcome into our downward dog. So let's tuck our toes under. We're going to walk the hands forward. We breathe in. As we breathe out, we lift the hips off the mat and come into our first downward dog. Now you can keep your knees bent here and we can focus on the shoulders. So if you want to, knees bent, open the shoulders and draw your belly towards your thighs. So we're just feeling through the shoulders to start. And then we're going to walk the dog out. So straightening one leg and bending the other, and then straightening and bending the other. And today I think it's about mindfulness. So just not stepping too fast, but just noticing the weight, noticing the backs of the legs, just having a little bit of a more considered step as opposed to stomping out. And then come to some stillness. So let's bring both heels down towards the floor. We open the chest and draw the chest towards the thighs. Have a little stretch out. And then lower the knees back down towards the mat. Well done. Let's come into a kneeling and give those wrists a little shake out for once and have a little workout. So if we need to interlace the fingers, we can do that and have a little ease out, circling the fists. And then we're going to come to the front edge of the mat for a little bit of side planking just to ease us out. So if you want to, you can bring your mat, fold the mat underneath your knees if that's the case. So I'm going to take my right leg out. So I'm mirroring you, if that makes sense, for the people in the room. That's lovely. So I'm stepping my right leg out. I want it to be nice and square. We normally have it square. I want us to walk the foot out so it's a little bit wider, if that's okay, because we're going to come and take a little lean. So we're going to do a modified side angle pose here. So I'm going to bend my right arm at the elbow. I'm dropping my forearm to my thigh. This is as we would if we were standing. And then my left hand is either coming to my hip all the way up to the ceiling or towards my ear. Now I'm going to ease into the pose by breathing out and allowing the knee to bend, and we open. That's it. So we're allowing the knee to bend and the hips to drop. At the same time, your knee just wants to naturally fall inwards. So open the knee out with the muscles on the outside of the hip. So we have a little stretch there, nice and gentle. And then we're going to inhale, lifting the hand up, and then we plant the left hand into the mat, bringing the hand underneath the shoulder, ready for our side plank. The right arm is going to reach up to the ceiling, so we're opening through, and then shift the shoulders so that the shoulders are really over that wrist, before lengthening the leg and lifting the foot off the mat. If you need to prop it down, you can do. Now we're opening through the front of the body and we're lifting the left side of the muscle. So there's this line that goes all the way from the side, all the way up to the ceiling through a nice imaginary thread. And then plant the foot into the mat, bend the left elbow, give yourself a little bob up, and we'll do that on the other side. So bring that knee underneath you, and we're going to come through to the other side. So set yourself up square to start with, get your balance, and then start to walk that foot out a little bit so you've got somewhere to go when we bend the knee. Bend the left elbow, that's my one, and then drop it towards the forearm to the thigh. We then lift the right arm up, and it comes palm facing towards the floor. We exhale, bend that front leg, and come in for a little lean into the leg. So we've got somewhere to go, good. We're opening the hip, focusing on that knee. So we're opening the knee out from the hip. And we're using our own muscles to open the knee out and get that stretch that we need, rather than forcing it. We're going to inhale, use the right hand and lift yourself up. It plants into the floor, so we plant the hand into the mat, shoulder comes over the hand, and then we lift the left arm up to the ceiling. Now when we're ready, we'll make sure our shoulders shifted, we can float the foot off the floor. And then plant the foot into the mat, bend the right elbow, give yourself a little bob up gently, and then bring the knee back down again. Well done. We're going to come into our final downward dog to come up to standing. So bring yourself in line with the mat. Walk the hands forward slightly, tuck the toes under, that's it. Exhale and lifting the hips up to the ceiling. And have another little stretch of those hips. You might want to focus on opening through the shoulders, or you might want to think about the heels coming down to the floor and visualize the sit bones at the same time lifting up to the ceiling. So you might get a little extra bend through the hips. And then we're going to take our gaze towards our hands. We step the feet up towards us, so step one foot in front of the other. And then walking the hands up the legs. We're going to roll up through the spine nice and gently, coming up to standing. Lovely. Well done. And when we're ready, we'll come to the front, the center of the mat. And we're just going to find a little bit of balance work. So you're right. Oh yeah, socks off. Get yourself settled. So bring your feet underneath us. Think about, again, it's just about being mindful of everything today. So thinking about perhaps your posture, your stance. So are your feet slightly turned out? Do they need to be slightly turned in? Are they parallel? Think about the backs of the legs and lengthening through the back of the leg, lifting the thigh muscles up. Perhaps there's a slight tucking of the pelvis and the tailbone down. So you're going to lift the belly button in towards you. Think about the spine and lengthening the spine, muscles either side. Have a little shuffle of the shoulders. Maybe they just need to come a little rotate backwards so that they're really not hunched forward. And then the neck, and then just dropping the chin slightly so the chin is parallel with the floor. And then the head is reaching up to the ceiling. So we're feeling our tallest mountain pose here. Now we're going to come in for a nice rise. So take a focus on a point in front of you. Use the weight of the body forward. So bring the shoulders over the balls of the feet. Feel the heels lift. When you're feeling the heels lift, push the balls of the feet into the ground and reach the head towards the ceiling, finding a balance. Draw that belly button in if you have a little wobble. Zip everything up in front of you. And then we're going to lower the heels down with control. Lovely. Let's come into chair pose. So bring the hands towards the heart. We breathe in. As we breathe out, we bend the knees. Make sure our knees are over our toes. We're sitting in our imaginary chair. And we're just going to have a little hover. Now take the arms parallel with the floor. And we're going to take 2 breaths here. Breathing in and out, in and out. Now take the hands, the palms are facing, but the arms come beside the ears. So we're going to hover here, breathing in and out. You can always go back to the last arm position. And then on the next in breath, push the feet into the floor and then lengthen and stand. Lovely. Now again, we're in our mountain pose here. So I don't want my shoulders up beside my ears, draw my shoulders into the back, but I'm lengthening those arms up to the ceiling. That naturally wants to open the ribs. So just bring the ribs in towards you, zip everything up through the center. And we're going to come in for a rise here. So shoulders over the balls of the feet, looking out and focusing on something in front of you. Push the balls of the feet into the floor and find a rise. And then on the exhale, lower the heels down to the mat and lower the hands. Well done. And give everything a little stamp out. Well done. Have a little shuffle. Never knew standing was so hard. So let's have a little bend and a little twist. So I'm going to plant my left hand into the thigh. My right hand's going to lift up. We breathe in, and then as we breathe out, we're going to slide the left hand down the leg. My right hand, I'm not going to collapse at the waist. I'm going to lengthen through and reach that right hand to the opposite corner of the room. So we're reaching through the right side of the body rather than collapsing the left. That's it. And then inhale and lift and exhale and lower. We're going to do that on the other side. Left hand lifts, breathe in. As we breathe out, slide the hand down, lengthen through. We're not collapsing at the waist, but we're lengthening. And then inhale and lift, exhale and lower. Let's come in for our twist now. We breathe in, take both hands up to the ceiling. Definitely draw those shoulders into the back so they're not reaching towards the ears. Then keeping my hips forward, I'm going to take my right arm back and my right arm forward, left arm back. So I'm twisting at the waist, but my right arm's coming forward, my left hand's coming back. Take my gaze over my left hand, but I'm trying to keep my hips forward. So we're getting that two-way twist. We inhale, lift both hands up to the ceiling, and we'll do that again on the other side. So exhale, left hand forward, right hand twist. Draw that right hip towards you. So we're trying to ease the waist and take a nice stretch through the shoulders, but the hips are staying forward. Breathe in and lift. Good. And breathe out and lower. Lovely. Give all of those shoulders a nice little shrug and a shake, and we're going to come in for some strong standing poses now. So we're going to do warrior one. I'm going to take my short foot to the short edge, my left foot to the long edge. So the warrior two is where your hips are parallel with the front edge of the mat. Warrior one is where your hips turn and are parallel with the short edge of the mat. So to enable us to do that, let's take our hands towards our hips and they're facing the long edge. We engage the thighs. We're going to turn the hips so that the right hip turns towards the right, the left hip's following. Let's just be mindful of the knees. So you want to lift the thighs. Then as we exhale, we bend the front standing leg. If you feel like you need to have a little bit of a deeper one, shuffle that back leg out if you need it. But my hips should be square with my legs, if that makes sense, so they're in between. Now let's take both hands and slide them up in front of us, coming up to full warrior one. We're drawing the shoulders into the back, and it's quite a deep hip opener. And then on the next inhale, lengthen the front leg, rotate the body and lower the arms. Keep the legs in this position here because we're going to come into a triangle pose. So engage the thighs. We inhale, lift the hands up to shoulder level. We exhale, slide that right hand away from us, lengthening at the waist before dropping the hand down, either to the thigh or the shin, the ankle. Just know how you feel from today. And then your gaze can be either to the floor, out in front of you, or towards the ceiling. And then thinking about the muscles over the left hip, see if you can breathe in, and on the out breath, allow those muscles to lengthen, and you might find the hand just sliding down a little bit. Visualize the muscles lengthening. And then inhale, use the left hand to lift yourself up. We're going to come into reverse triangle. So the left hand comes to the thigh, the right palm turns up to the ceiling. Engage the thigh, so switching on those thighs, and then bringing the gaze all the way up. We slide the hand and take the gaze all the way up. And we're going to be here for another 3 breaths. And then inhale, lifting yourself up. Now we're going to come into our extended side angle. So we bend the right arm at the elbow, bend the right leg, drop the forearm into the thigh. We've already had a little tester of that. And the left arm can either come to the hip, to the ceiling, or all the way towards your ear, palm facing down. And again, as we were on the floor, you can walk that back foot away from you to get a little bit deeper. And remember to open the knee outwards. So that's it. That's a good change. Well done. So you don't want that knee to rock inwards. We're using the muscles on the outside of the leg to open the knee out. And then to come up, we inhale, lifting that left hand up, push into the front foot of the floor and bring yourself back up to standing. Lovely. Let's bring the legs in and have a little hip circle, a little hip shuffle. That was our legs. We did the arms and now we're doing that. Let's do the other side. So let's bring the left foot to the short edge, the right foot to the long edge. And we'll start with warrior 1. So plant the hands onto the hips, engage the thighs, so lift the thighs up towards you, and we lift the knees away from us. And then we turn the hips to the left, rotating the hips, but keeping, at the same time, rotating the legs outwards. It's a kind of odd thing. And then on the next exhale, bend the front standing leg and bring the hips, should be equidistant between each foot. Now slide the hands on the hips up in front of you, up to the ceiling, and palms are facing inward. Again, just be mindful of that front knee. Making sure it's in a full position. Well done. Draw those shoulders and into the back, creating space between the ears and the shoulders. And then on the in-breath, push into the front foot of the floor, lengthen the legs, rotate the hips all the way around, and then we're back to our warrior 2 stance. Adjust the feet for your triangle pose. So you might want to bring the feet in slightly. And we inhale, lift the hands up towards shoulder level. We exhale, lengthen the arm away and drop it down towards the foot, the thigh, or the shin, depending where we are today. So you might feel that through the left thigh and across the right hip. And we're going to stay here for another few breaths. And instead of tensing and gripping, think about releasing across the hip. And then inhale, use the right hand to lift yourself up. Left palm turns up towards the ceiling. The right palm slides to the thigh. We inhale. Come into reverse triangle, keeping the legs straight. The arm reaches up and we slide the right hand down the right leg. And inhale and lift. And then this time we come into extended side angle. So bend the left elbow, bend the left knee, opening it out slightly, tipping the body so the forearm comes onto the thigh. If you need to walk that back leg out, you can do. And then the right arm comes all the way up towards your ear, palm facing down. And again, just noticing the front foot might want to kind of rock in or not parallel, keeping that knee outwards. And then inhale, push both feet into the floor, use the hand to lift yourself up and come back up to standing. Great. Let's bring those legs in and have a little stamp out. Circling the feet at the ankles, because You do work the outside of the ankles in these stronger standing poses as well. Good, let's come in for a straddle, forward fold. So toes pointing forward, heels pointing back. If you need a block in front of you and you can't get your hands in front of you, place a block there, otherwise just keep them on the side of the legs. So let's start with our hands at our hips. We breathe in, and then as we breathe out, keeping the body forward so we don't push back into the hips, we bend forward and just let's bring the body parallel to start with, just getting our weight right. So the easiest thing is to push the hips back into the back of the mat. Actually, what we've been trying to do is keep the hips in line with the feet. Now, once we're here and we've got a nice position, slide the hands down the back of the sides of the legs and then bringing the body forward. If you can bring the hands in front of you. If you want to open the legs a little bit wider, it's an option. And same principles apply, which is about not gripping, but visualizing the muscles at the backs of the legs lengthening and lengthening, and just feeling the body fall. Last breath. Use the in-breath to lift the body upright, engage the thighs, and then lifting the body upright to standing. Let's come down and bring those feet in. And again, work those ankles out. So give those ankles a little workout. And then we're going to come into a very gentle tree pose to finish as our balance before coming down. So let's stand, a little balance. And then bringing our hands towards our heart, thumbs to sternum, we draw the shoulders into the back, lifting the elbows. And then as we were in mountain pose, we're pushing the feet into the floor, lengthening through the backs of the legs, drawing our belly button towards our spine. We shift our weight over towards the left leg, release the right foot, and then turn the leg out from the hip. And the foot can come to the ankle or to the thigh, calf, or you can draw it up to the thigh if you want to. Depends how dynamic you want to be this morning. And taking that concentration outwards at your drishti point or focus point. And then lowering the foot down towards the floor. Lovely, well done. Again, circling the feet, releasing any tension from just standing. And let's do that on the other side. So we want to set the pose up well, so we're not rushing into it. We'll come in for it with a nice and calmness. So let's bring our hands towards our heart, palms together, shoulders down into the back, elbows up. We draw the belly button in towards us, slightly turning and squeezing the inside thighs together. We shift our weight over to the right leg, releasing the left leg from the floor, turning the foot out, the knee out from that hip, and bringing the foot either to the ankle, calf, or thigh. Keeping everything close into us and taking your focus out. And then release and coming back down. Well done. Let's again circle the feet out. So one hip opener just through, we're going to come to the front edge of the mat. Final hip opener, which is our lunges. So let's take our hands towards our hips. We're going to take our right foot stepping back into high crescent lunge. So we're going to open the hips in a lunge. We bend the leg and we're just going to allow everything to drop. So we inhale, let's take the hands all the way up to the ceiling, lifting the hands up. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. Each breath, I just want you to kind of sink at the front leg. Don't want to rock the knee inwards. The knee needs to stay parallel. And now we're going to come in the same arms that we did when we were standing. Right arm forward, left arm back. right hand forward, left hand back. We're coming in for a twist. And then inhale, bring both hands up to the ceiling. As we exhale, sweep them down towards the hips and propel the right foot towards the left foot and come back up to standing. That's it. Give those hips a little wiggle. And we're going to come on the other side. So we're going to take the left leg back, step it back into high crescent lunge. If it's too much for you, you can also go into the warrior one, but lifting the heel off the back if you can. We're bending the front standing leg. That's it. Both knees are parallel. And then let's slide the hands all the way up to the ceiling into this full high crescent lunge. Again, drawing the shoulders into the back. And with every out breath, just softening the front knee and allowing the hip to open. Now we're going to take the left arm forward, the right arm back. So left arm forward, right arm back. You're twisting into the leg. Well done. And then inhale, bring both hands back up to the ceiling. Sweep them down beside the legs and bring the left foot to meet the right foot. Good, and give those hips a little stand out. That was our hip opener for that lunging. Let's keep them at the front edge of the mat. We're going to roll down and come to some seated poses. So just tucking the chin into the chest. Let's soften at the shoulders, soften at the knees, reach the hands towards the floor. And we're going to step into plank. So we take one leg out, left leg out, and we'll just hover into plank. So we go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to lower chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. For chaturanga, shift the shoulders over the hands, keep those elbows tucked in and lower yourself gently towards the ground. Good, let's come and back, and we're going to bring the hips back, and I'm going to come into a seated position on my bottom. Excuse me. So just get yourself set up. So we're going to come into cobbler's pose. So bringing the soles of the feet together. You might want to be on a block for this, or a bit of an extra cushion, a bit extra height. So soles of the feet together, they can be a little bit further out and be in diamond pose, or bring them a little bit further in, depending on how you're feeling this morning. So let's lengthen the spine, reaching the head, and then bending at the hips. We reach the spine forward with a nice flat back first, keeping the spine nicely forward. And then when we can't go any further forward, softening the shoulders, hands towards the feet, and we're tucking the chin in towards the chest almost. So you feel the hips open, the spine's bending. And again, just using the breath to allow the body to fall. And if you think about the backs, the muscles surrounding the hips and the spine, and everything just softening and lengthening. And then breathing in, rolling up through the spine, and release the legs. So bring the legs out in front of you, give the hips a little ease out, shaking the hips in and out. And we're going to focus on our shoulders now. So bring the legs underneath you, cross-legged. It can be right or left, and we're going to come in for, can't remember, cow face pose. So option 1 is to have the legs in this position just here, which is nice, easy. Option 2, you can have the legs into fire log pose, which is to have the shins parallel with each other. It's quite dynamic on the hips if you like that kind of thing. I'm going to do that because I quite like the structure on the hips. So I've got my right leg in front, and my left arm's going to come up. So my arm comes all the way up behind me, and my hand reaches through the in towards the small of the back. At the same time, my right arm is going to reach behind me, and I'm going to try and bring my fingertips together. If I can't, just hold on to the t-shirt, grabbing my hair. And then we're going to breathe in and open the shoulder up. So we're lengthening the spine, opening that top elbow out. And then release, lifting the hands away. Give those arms a little rub, and then swapping legs over. Good. So bring the other opposite leg in front. So I've got my left leg on top of my right leg in my fire log or in an easy pose. And then I'm sitting up nice and straight. So this time I'm going to take my right hand up and over, lift it up, reach it behind you, and then take the left hand. And you might find one side's better than the other. Grabbing my hair. And then thinking about lengthening through the spine, pushing the sit bones into the floor to lengthen the spine and open that top elbow out. That's it. So it's a kind of stretching through that tricep. Last breath. And release. Well done. Shuffle it. I'll do little wiggly arms. Let's roll onto our backs and we'll do some, again, hip stretches for the back. So just coming onto our bottoms, feet flat on the floor, I'm going to take my hands behind my knees and just gently, slowly roll down towards the floor, nice and gently. And we're going to come into reclined pigeon. So taking the right foot onto the left knee, open the knee outwards, bring the knee in towards you and take the right hand through the leg, the left hand on the outside of the leg. Now, we're going to take a little rock in this position. You're going to rock side to side and just being mindful and noticing where, as you're rocking, you might feel the muscles rolling over the hip socket and the hip joint on the right-hand side. You might want to add a little circle into that. So circling the left knee and seeing what that feels like for the hip. So it might not be so dynamic, but actually you might get a better range of stretch for that hip joint. And then floating the knee back down, we're going to swap over. So let's bring the right foot down onto the floor. The left foot comes onto the knee, and then we draw that right knee in towards it with the hands through the leg and on the outside of the leg. And let's have a little stretch. Use the breath to soften at the hips, bringing that right knee in towards you. And then you can add a little bit of rocking. So rocking side to side. And then maybe add a circle. And then lowering the right foot down towards the floor, unhook the left leg. Let's come into an inversion, which just bringing our feet up towards the ceiling. So both feet up towards the ceiling, we're drawing the belly button into the mat, and we're just going to allow our legs just to hang here. Allowing the blood to flow from the feet through the legs towards our head. Might need some brain power today, that's what I need. And then for the final pose, we're going to come into happy baby pose. So just opening the knees out slightly, taking the hands behind the backs of the knees, or you can take your hands, if you can reach, on the outside of the feet, drawing the knees in towards the armpits. And so we're opening this position here. So, and then again, have a little rock side to side. Massaging the back on the floor. And then float the feet down towards the floor, ready for our relaxation for the next 7 minutes. Nice long one for this morning. Last class before Easter. I've got my glasses as well. Oh, behind me. So getting an extra layer on a blanket or just allowing yourself to settle. So you want to start to bring the breath back to a steady rhythm. And start to feel the sensation of the breath coming into the body. So feel the body expanding. And then as you breathe out, the softening of the body and the relaxing into the floor. So today has just been a bit more mindful, a bit slower. And then do that with your breath as well. So breathing in and out and just focusing on each in-breath, noticing the changes in the body and the out-breath and the softening of the body into the floor. So after the energy that we've used, it's a great time to just take a little bit of time to slow down again. Slow that breath down. And then giving yourself a body check. So taking each part of the body in turn and just noticing where you're holding tension. So perhaps starting at the forehead, the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw, the throat, the back of the neck, the shoulders. Notice the chest softening. Perhaps you're holding tension in the back, the muscles either side of the spine. Soften those and just notice your body sink a little bit. Relax the muscles in the pelvis surrounding the hips. Feel the lower back just easing into the mat. Relax the thighs, the backs of the knees, the calves, and the ankles. Now take a moment to think about kindness. Come to mind someone or something that brings feelings of kindness or happiness. It might be an object. It could have been an action towards something. It could be a person. Think about what that kindness act was or thing and how it made you feel. Think about the positive feelings that you felt at that point in time. Establish that positive feeling in your own body. And know that you can think about recollecting that positive feeling in your body at any time. Now, to bring yourself back out of that sense of calm and positivity, let's take some nice, deep, energizing breaths. So taking a breath in through the nose, feel the lungs fill with air. Feel the body expand and feel the cold air filling the chest and the lungs. Use the energy of the breath to fill the rest of the body. So send some energy to the hands and the feet. Nice deep breath in, start to give those toes a little wiggle and those fingers a little wiggle. And then taking another deep breath in, filling your arms and your legs with nice cold, energizing air and having a little stretch. And then slowly, perhaps bringing some life into the face, licking the lips, opening the eyes. Taking a nice deep breath and breathing into the face to give it a little bit of energy for this morning. And then in your own time, just rocking yourself a little bit side to side before coming onto your side. And then up to a seated position when you're ready. Lovely, so we'll just get ourselves settled. And once we're settled, let's just bring our hands towards our heart and finish the class. Namaste and thank you. Well done, everyone. Excellent work.